Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. We got a good one for you, and you're going to get good stuff. In a second, you'll meet Andrew Huang, one of the brightest music explorers, musicians, YouTube creators. Stay tuned for that. Couple things for you first, though. Our Immerse with Embody contest starts now. We're giving away Immerse Apple Music plugins. It allows you to hear your mix as Apple Spatial Audio in any DAW that you have with any pair of headphones you have. Enter at the link below. You got 2 weeks to enter. There will be two winners, and you can enter multiple times to increase your chances of winning. It's a really good plugin, and it's where your music is going. Do that. And on top of that, Andrew Wong and Baby Audio have teamed up. They do great work together. Andrew has a plugin called Transit. Baby Audio has a ton of stuff. I can tell you that Dave and all of our camp love Baby Audio stuff. They're having a site-wide sale, but if you're a Pensado audience member, you get an additional 15% off. Use the code Pensado. Head over to the Baby Audio website you see right there. Check out Andrew Wong's Transit plugin, but also see what else Baby Audio has. A big up for both of you. Immerse with Embody, get down with Baby Audio, and now, without further ado, Andrew Wong. Andrew, how are
Hey,
you, man?
good man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh no, it's our pleasure. One of the through
I, I'm,
lines.
I almost didn't come because I am not worthy.
Uh,
Come on.
I
I,
am not
I
worthy.
I
I
hear
am
you.
not worthy.
No, and part of what is a through line in the discussion, which we'll get to, is the use of technology in ways that enhances your creativity and allows you to go some places. And in my camp, when we had a chance to potentially partner with Baby Audio, my guys literally screamed. That's how high Dave and his technical camp think about Baby Audio.
Yeah.
You're involved with Baby Audio,
Uh-huh.
and tell me if this is true. I think when you build your case as a creative person, your tools become ever more important. And when you have a whole lot of people coming at you with tools, you're even more selective about what you utilize or partner with. Is that fair to say?
I think so, yeah. You get to really know what you like and which things are. I kind of put it in two camps because I'm always trying new stuff and that's really exciting for me. But there's stuff where it's like this is a staple and I love using it. It's gonna be a workhorse, it's gonna be an everyday thing. And then there's stuff that it's like I like it, but it's gonna be a little bit of special sauce, every now and then. Not gonna reach for it too often, even though it's great.
What made Baby Audio work for you?
I think that they really focus on the creative flow. Like the way that their stuff is set up, it always felt to me like things just went smoothly and I wasn't like diving into finicky technical stuff. It always sounded good, it always looked good. So yeah, there was always just a great feeling there working with their plugins.
I often think that, and we tend to focus on the people behind the company. Like it's one thing to look at the product, then you kind of have to know the heart of the people, and do they have the heart of creative people? Do they care enough to, or are they just trying to, sell something? And and from my perspective, which we can get into, everything, like if you take your plugin, everything is thought through. The look of it, the ease of it, the what it does specifically. All the greats that I have the pleasure to interview, they don't want to get immersed in the details, so it throws them off of creating stuff. They want to get to it, make a decision, have it work, be able to count on it. And
Yeah.
it seems like they get that down
Yeah.
perfectly.
I
Yeah, I
like.
think that's so true. And the amazing thing that's been the process of getting to know Baby Audio's team and especially Casper. I can just see how deeply they think about everything, and it's like they front load all of that. They put all of this thought and care into their products because that means that whoever is using them doesn't have to, and they can just just operate it. They can just kind of drive, and yeah, it makes it just much more smooth.
Tell us about your plugin, because I know Dave's got a million questions, but you start from the top and give us the overview of what it does and how you use it.
Yeah, it's called Transit, and it was this idea I had kicking around for a few years to just make the whole process of creating transitions in songs smoother, because I just always found there was this part of production that kind of drove me crazy, and it was always worth doing. But like when you want to go from verse to chorus or chorus to bridge or whatever, and like do a build up of some kind, and you're automating 20 lanes in different tracks, and you're kind of like adjusting the different curves and then going back to adjust the other ones because everything affects everything else. And that always felt like a little bit of a headache for me. And I thought, like, well, if we could put it mostly in one place and just like all the effects, all the like start and end points of where you want your parameters to move, and then have one knob that controls it all, that might be a really great solution. So I approached Baby Audio about doing this because they were just my number one choice for who I thought would really knock it out of the park. And it was really serendipitous. They said they were already thinking about seeing if other people might want to partner with them for plugins on a creative level, and I was on their list. So it was just like a perfect match there. We started working on it. It took about a year and a half to develop. And along the way, we also found that there's a lot of other great use cases for a multi-effect plugin that offers you this kind of like macro control really easily. So yeah, it just became an even better thing than we thought it would be, and a lot of positive response to it.
I like OTT and distortion. Those are my two favorites.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
They're great because you maybe don't think about them as being something you automate a lot of time. I don't know. Like I think in some contexts, it's just distortion is on or off. OTT is kind of like you put it on there, you dial it in, and you leave it. But I think automating it as well, in conjunction to with other effects, can be a whole other wonderful thing.
One of the things that in going through it, which I generally don't do, just so I can keep the perspective of a consumer, and not necessarily, that's kind of the balance between Dave and I. While he will go there, I try to go, God, how does this affect me? Because I love music. And it seems to me that this used properly is a boon for live performance, or people who are in the live performance space.
Yeah.
Like you can just makes your life so much simpler, and actually can unleash creativity that before you couldn't get to as simply.
Yeah.
Am I close?
I think so, because I mean, it's funny. I was just trying to solve this like production focused problem area for myself, pain point for myself, and then we realized like, yeah, if you have your live set and load up a bunch of different instances of Transit with different presets, and you can just like ramp up an effect, turn it back down, and it's like one control for multiple things, very dynamic. And yeah, it's so quick to experiment because you can just like try different pre-made effects chains, whether you made them or whether they're ones that come with it. Yeah, so super fast to just like get outside.
What do you think makes a good transition? Because I love transitions. That I remember early on when you were over at the Fab Factory, we were talking about that. I just love transitions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's got to be dynamic, right? It's like a special little moment that is like a little journey by itself, and you kind of have these big pieces of a song section, but then the 16th bar or the last quarter note even of the last bar in a section, like there's something special to kind of transition you over to what's coming next. And I think, I mean, there's so many ways to do it. Like it could be like ramping up, it could be like dying down, it could just be a stop entirely. But the idea of movement, of something flowing from A to B.
Now in the Andrew hierarchy, you created such a presence with interesting challenges and videos and making things happen, and it blew up into something clearly there was a need for that you were filling. Did you see that vision? Were you just having fun and all of a sudden, boom, it turned into this big deal? Now you've got a video series that's huge and you got millions of viewers and followers. Was that a plan? Sometimes these things are happy accidents.
It was pretty organic, you know. It was like trying stuff out and seeing what I liked and seeing what other people liked. But I do remember I was doing a lot of pretty polished feeling stuff, or polished to me at the time, being pretty young. And eventually I thought like, oh, you know, I'm putting all this detail into my work that no one ever really pays attention to. Maybe I'll make a little video that shows like, oh, well, you know, these couple of plugins really changed this for me and you might not notice it, but I think it's special and I want to like draw attention to it. I started, you know, delving more into the process, like why a certain idea even happened, what made it special for me, or, you know, what's a sound that like it's not the one you're paying attention to, but it supports it. All of that stuff, I felt like was just interesting to me, and I thought maybe other people would be interested, and it turns out that they were. And they're these videos that kind of showed more the creative process or showed more of how things sound the way they sound. And, you know, you're not only focusing on the melody or the vocalist or whatever, but all this other stuff that really supports a production. There was a big demand for that kind of video. And I think I was lucky enough to be early to this where there weren't a lot of people making this kind of stuff. And now I think, you know, you can go on YouTube and there's tons of people talking about production, writing, everything. But,
No, I mean,
yeah, and I think I
welcome.
found some fun ways to do it as well. So
No, welcome to Pensado's place.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened in the beginning. And part of the ongoing debate is now we're going into an ecosystem that's packed with info. So you got to reapproach it in a different way because you're not gonna. So, but the other thing that you did that I think is amazing is you have to learn to speak to people about it in a way they find intriguing, not just push the same information out. And if
yeah,
you do that, you're going to get your ass kicked. If you do it in a new way, and a lot of people don't understand the discipline you have to do it. This is not something you just go, hey, I'm going to do that this weekend. I'll get to it later. Right?
yeah. I was in the part of my career where the YouTube channel was growing the fastest. I mean, not only was I putting out the most videos, I was doing 2 videos a week, but I was also really trying to be thoughtful about speaking to the average person, like not even musicians, you know, just like, could I help a layperson understand why this reverb or this snare sound was so important?
Yep.
And that's shifted a little bit because I feel like I've done like the very broad beginner content a lot. And so I got into more niche stuff about, you know, like these transition details. I got into the modular synthesis, like I got into nerdier stuff, and that's just what I'm interested in creating now. But definitely, you know, I was very thoughtful about, can I make this accessible? Can I communicate it like quickly and in a
Mhm.
fun way, and in a way that, you know, both a kid could enjoy watching and a Grammy winner could enjoy watching. And with some of the videos, I think I managed that.
How can you maintain creativity and stay inspired? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think everything inspires me, I guess. It's just there's too much inspiration. I'm trying to find out how I can like turn it down and focus more of the time.
Well, how's that journey working out?
It's, you know, I think it's making me have to just get real and make harder decisions about what I work on, and like what are the most important ideas.
Mhm.
And like, especially after having kids, and, you know, my time shrinks down, and I'm like, okay, what do I actually want to use my time on and put out in the world? And like, I'm going to be trying to draw other people's attention to it. Like, what are the things that are the most worthy of all of that time and energy?
You remember when you came by the studio? What was that? About a year ago? A couple of years ago?
It was right before the shutdown, I remember, because
Oh,
yeah, we met that NAM.
I forget. I
It was like
forget.
2019. Yeah.
Yeah, my brain fucked up, but we talked about doing some things. Can you remember just one of those things that we were talking about and how it went down good?
What we were talking about, we listened to a few of each other's things. I think you offered to mix something of mine. Yeah, I don't remember too much. But actually, you know what I remember most about that night? I got food poisoning. Like, I don't know if you could tell. By the end of us hanging out, I was starting to feel a little off. I almost didn't make it. My Uber ride home. As soon as I got through the door, I just threw up everywhere.
I'm sorry I asked that question.
Here's something that's interesting that I think our audience may be interesting, but is important. Let's put it this way. Um, Life helps you make decisions that then helps you with your career. So I'm sure that having children, it refocuses things that are important before change in terms of the hierarchy, the goals that you need to. Sometimes life can clarify the creative process. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and in your case, it's been a growth thing. How many babies? You look like you can't have children. Like
I had well, I just turned 40, so I'm getting
what?
there. But I'm
Oh,
okay. I got good lighting. And yeah, I got a 1 year old and a 3 year old now. Uh,
congratulations.
thanks. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it can't help but change your perspective and yeah, what your values are and what you gotta spend your time on. But yeah, very clarifying is a great word for that.
And then when I see it show up in friends of mine's, ours, and when it shows up in their work, you if you know them, you can see what's going on. I don't know if you've been to Manny American's restaurant Verse out here. You've got to come. It's the only restaurant that is also a recording studio,
Oh, amazing.
and
Yeah.
it's literally amazing because Manny put a lot of science into the consumer experience. But what people don't know is his son runs it. And so when I see his son running around who could just deal with his dad's legacy, it's got the same kind of quality level as Larrabee. And so when I see Manny as a father in a place that he created that he's going to leave as a legacy, a place that's getting a lot of attention, if you don't know them, you don't know all that's going on. But it's just amazing and inspiring to watch how it's changed Manny's work and Manny's decision about what he's going to leave and all that kind of stuff. So the point to the audience is that don't divorce your life from your work. Incorporate your life into your work and have a sense of pride about it, and then let it affect you in good ways. You'll be amazed at what happens from the creativity side. Like it just, I know it in my own case. Like, there's some great things going on because my life has changed. So um, we digress on the philosophical side. And now to the thing that is additionally more important than maybe anything is that Andrew and I are Canadian. Oh, Canada. Dave, I'm sorry. You look like you're having a jingoistic moment. As an American, Dave's going.
No, I was worried about that last note. It was so out of key.
Oh yeah, no, I do that so we can use a plugin to fix it for
Uh,
Back
transition.
on
you know
there.
what? Remember her? We were in Toronto, and I felt like if Toronto had an ocean, I'd live there. I just love that city.
Mhm.
We should
It's
go there
great here.
again,
It's
Herb.
very green.
Get somebody
I
there.
mean the winter's terrible, but
Right,
yeah.
right. But the thing that Toronto, and it speaks to part of the creativity. It's a place that has so many pockets of cultures, but
Mhm.
it's a city that brings it all together and sort of says, yeah, let's all share. You can go over here to the Jamaican neighborhood, you can go over here to and you can have this food and hear this music and figure out, but we're all kind of in it as one.
Mm.
Where in some other places, particularly in the States, those are demarcation lines that you don't go into. And so I'm not surprised that the creative people that come out of Toronto, those kind of environments, can go so many different ways and are comfortable with so many different kind of
That's an
things.
interesting point. Yeah, because it is so. I've heard it called the most multicultural city in the world,
Yeah,
and
What?
I mean, it's true. The pockets really like they're there, but they're not like they don't
yeah,
they're not cut off from each other.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Currently, in terms of where Andrew is from a work standpoint, what are you focusing on? What are you moving forward? Is it producing more of your own music, producing for other people? What's the snapshot?
I'm just about to start on an approach that I'm finding really interesting, which is I've got a lot of my own stuff that's like in various different stages, and there's some that I really feel like I need to be the one to take the finish line, and then there's other stuff where it's just like I think this is really cool, but it could go a lot of ways, and I'm gonna be inviting my audience in to the process, and we're kind of like figuring out how this will work, but I do this. One of my bigger video series is called Four Producers, One Sample. And it's like we start with one little piece of audio. It could be a bit of music, or, we did an episode that was just like a squeaky door. And four different artists, three people and myself, we each make a track based on that. And they always come out so different. And I recently did one where it was four people remixing a song of mine. And that just went so well. And it was all audience members this time. Usually, like, I'll invite some people on, some bigger names. And this time it was just like I opened it up. We got a couple hundred submissions, and there was some amazing stuff in there. So now I'm thinking, maybe we put some stuff out there and it's just like this song needs guitars. So who wants to jump in? Or this song is written but hasn't been produced. Like who wants to try it out? So I'm thinking about how I can make that a streamlined thing where it's just a very participatory,
Brilliant,
collaborative
brilliant,
thing. Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. From one programmer in a different way, because I get a chance to program video things for what we do and for other things. And you're always looking for the thing that makes you different, not the same, but still feels organic.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, I have nothing to do with the show and want to be involved in it. It's just so brilliant. Because I think when you involve the audience in such a way that, and you're not going over their head, you're including them, they're going to reward you with views and loyalty and being involved with you. As soon as you, as a banker friend of mine says, as soon as you pee over their heads, they're out going to get dry, right? Because that's not what you want to do. So kudos to you. Hats off. I think it's brilliant, and it's something as a consumer. Even though people would know that I still see myself as a consumer, I would want to tune in and see.
I
Like,
appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I'm
yeah,
always thinking like just I don't want to ever do anything just because that's how everyone else is doing it.
thank you.
And so I'm sitting on like so many ideas that I've started, and I'm like, well, I had, earlier on, I had this mindset of like, oh, I want to be in control of everything. I want to like, be the one man show or whatever. And then I
Mhm,
kind of graduated from that mindset, and I thought, well, I'm okay to ask people for help, and I would get
mhm,
friends work on stuff, or I would hire people to help out with stuff. And then this sort of feels like opening that up even further and just saying like, hey, this is music, there's so many different minds, approaches. There doesn't have to be this one specific execution of an idea. I can open it up and I could say, maybe we'll put out an EP that's 10 versions of the same song, or
mhm,
maybe it's like 100 people all play on one song and we kind of like piece it together.
mhm,
Um, yeah, just being even more and more open as time goes on.
mhm.
Is the newer generation affecting the way you handle content?
The younger generation,
The Gen Z coming along?
I'm like a little bit Gen Z, I have so much respect for, and they also scare me. I don't know exactly why, but I just feel like um, they've seen a lot at a young age. They've got to figure a lot of stuff out. I feel like I see them as more confident than what I remember it being like
Yeah.
when I was their age. I think that they maybe put up with less bullshit than we might have, or they've grown up with an internet and a culture that I think is less and less manufactured than what we had. When I was growing up, and I'm sure when you were growing up, the media that we consumed had a lot more barriers, had a lot more like polish on it. There wasn't just like somebody says something into their phone and puts it online, and 1,000 people could see it right away. So I guess I don't know if there's a specific way that it's affecting me, but it does make me, I guess, lean towards like how do we keep everything real? I think
I
that's sort of the movement that I see happening is like less.
think about this. There was a time in the 50s, late 50s, that the only thing was Frank Sinatra, and along comes us, the younger guys. I was like 12, 13, and we didn't like it. We didn't like it, and so we were listening to Little Richard. We were listening to a lot of stuff, just simply because our parents didn't like it. That was the only reason. And so this feels like that same kind of, well, for you this way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think every generation's got to find their own thing
Yeah.
that
But this
they love and
generation,
sets them apart. Things got to move forward. Yeah.
this generation seems to be doing it better than the others.
I think that just to chime in from the cheap seats, because again, so it makes sense for our audience. Well, the important thing is that well, in our lifespan alone, which now is somewhere around 14 years, we've probably seen 4 significant changes. 14 years for Pensado's place. And from what we did in the beginning, and then the evolution of creativity and people changed, and all the different sort of modular Gen Z, Gen X, Gen who gives a fuck. There's always going to be a change. There's always going to be some resistance to the people that are before. They'll find their path. And the key is for you in particular, and what we've been able to do is how do you survive through all those? Well, you survive by changing and by being on your feet and being smart about it and putting the work in and not doing the what I call get to the point of you get off my lawn where where you're the old person. Sorry, that's Beyonce calling. That's an old joke. That's a joke. Um, but I think the reason why, from an audience standpoint, that's perspective is that oftentimes when there's great change is when there's great opportunity.
Exactly.
Like when there's disruption, like if you take AI, let's use AI as an example, a generational change, a marker between categories, some people embracing, some not. Lean in. Lean in and find out how to empower yourself instead of be afraid of it and tilt at windmills. And know that if you're lucky enough that you're seeing change, your career is going well. Because there's a lot of people only get 1 pass, 2 pass, and then they're FedEx salesmen or they're delivering for Amazon. And no diss to those folks, but the fall can be really fast if you're not on top of it. So that is the consideration to think about. I think if you're an audience person and you want to do what you want to do, and I would add this part, I tend to just personally now look at music as media, which means I get to love it like music, but I get to deploy it and employ it as media. I get to impact a much broader set of things. You can't do what you do without fucking with what I do. That wasn't always the case. You could be able to do what you do and just say, "Oh, let me go grab some music, or let me go grab some audio. It's not that big of a deal." Not now. Not now. We're going to make that experience better, or that virtual experience better, or that gaming experience better, or the kind of programming you do. So it's important now to know that transitions are good and lean into them, and you're not gonna you're not gonna lose a leg by
Yeah.
experiencing it. So does
I
that
think
make
that's
sense
so
to you,
true.
Andrew?
Like what stands out to me most from that is like change is opportunity. I think,
Mhm.
and something that I've been realizing more and more is like the uncomfortable things. Um, when you feel uncomfortable, it's actually a good sign. It's like
100%.
that's how you know what you need to be working on, focusing on. Like it means there's something there that's important that maybe you're avoiding or that,
That's right.
it needs your attention. But yeah, and I think when you zoom out, you're right. Like all these changes, even though the details are different, the same pattern repeats. There's resistance, there's embracing, and yeah, you can find the way that the new works for you.
Now, the one thing that I would say is that there are some great athletes in Canada, and our batter's box is Pensado's place way of attempting to be athletic. It's a poor excuse, but we give it the best we can. Dave is the pitcher in it, and your job is to essentially knock the ball off the cover, and if it hits him along the way, you get extra points. So,
Yeah, let's do it.
so Dave, you ready to tee up batter's box?
Oh yeah. Let's try one word. I know we won't be able to do it sometimes. Let's go. You ready to go?
All right.
Okay. Lyrics.
The hardest part.
Exactly. Exactly.
Major, minor.
Minor.
Everybody says that.
I know. Yeah.
Favorite tempo.
I don't think about tempo in numbers. I tap tempo. I just
Yeah, yeah.
Tap's my favorite tempo.
Groove.
Ooh,
Everything.
the invisible spine to everything. Yeah,
Reverb.
tasteful. Got to be tasteful.
Bass.
It's tough for me. I got hearing issues that like bass is weird for me to hear. It's missing in a lot of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Call me up. I'll get in one of your ears and make it good for you.
Yeah. Fix me up.
Strings. I hate
Versatile.
strings. Let it be known I hate strings. I like an individual violin, but not a billion of them.
Interesting.
Harmonies. I mean,
Harmonies. Magic.
yeah. Drums.
Oh, I like them dead.
If you were stranded on an island, what piece of gear would you want to have with you?
I think I could just get a lot out of a piano.
Yeah. It's easy to transmit, take. It's easy to get a piano all the way across the world, but yeah, we'll take that one.
And
You know what? The OP1, the little synth that comes to mind too. There's like,
The one that had the great bass.
I don't know about that.
It was like
Yeah.
that, about that big.
Yeah. Well, they got two models now, but yeah, the really tiny, keyboard, tape machine, recorder, synth, everything. It's like the tiny little everything box versus the piano is just one.
You know what? You opened up an interesting thing that, before we wrap it up, if you don't mind, I'd like to touch on really quickly. A lot of people, because people don't talk about it, don't know how many people may have something physically or emotionally or something that doesn't work as well for them. There's a very famous partner of Drake in Toronto who is an amazing co-partner with him who deals with multiple sclerosis. Right? The most celebrated engineer with the most Grammy nominations, the only one who's not with us anymore, who has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, didn't hear well in one ear the whole time, and he mixed till he literally passed away. There are
Who's this, Herb?
it's a private thing, so I won't put it out here. But somebody we know well, somebody that we honored in our first award show, and so there's a number of people. So what I think people miss is that in a business that oftentimes you can do by sitting in a chair, there are a lot of people who have physical issues who can have a career in what we do.
Mhm.
And I think it's important that they know that everybody that they look up to or everybody that they think about sometimes are dealing with things they don't know they're dealing with. Nobody would ever think you have some base issues that when you look at your career, you go, this guy's the perfect audio machine, but you overcome your challenge or work it out. Correct. Speak
Yeah,
to that.
yeah. And I would add to that, like maybe our industry in particular is a place where like stuff is shiny and stuff like you work is put into being beyond presentable, larger than life. And so maybe there's part of that Gen Z shift is happening where stuff is not quite that. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's split, but yeah, I think that it's important to be able to talk about these things, and I think that's happening more now, where people can
I
own
agree.
and share what they're going through, and yeah, it doesn't
We
diminish.
we we saw, for whatever it's worth for the audience. Well, one, Pensado's Place was born out of a medical incident.
Hmm.
That was the impetus of it. And two, one of the first people that we saw that came out and talked about mental health and how it affected them was Ricky Reed, who has Lizzo.
Oh yeah.
Years before the pandemic, he came on and talked about it, and it released me certainly and others to go, oh, this is cool. Just talk about it. Like you don't have to have shame about it, but don't act like it doesn't exist because it affects what you're doing. Help people.
Yeah.
It's a really important consideration. So sorry to pick up on what you said, but I think people like yourself and Dave and myself and other people who give permission structure allow that person out there who thinks they're by themselves to go, no, 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 you're amongst brothers and sisters. Doesn't mean you can't bring it. You just bring it differently. You might come up with some new shit,
100%. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
it's one of those things where like I don't talk about it all the time, and I don't necessarily want it to be, the
That's right.
main thing,
Yep.
right? But every, I don't know, couple years I make a video that updates people like this is how I'm dealing with it now. And
Oh, nice.
there's always like a huge response to that because and I see in the comments like there's so many more people than we would think who are going through something
Mhm.
that they think will affect their work or that is affecting them, but they overcome it. And yeah, just so important to talk about these things.
A technical question, slightly, but about how you do what you do. Do you do it with a big team?
I have grown a team pretty gradually. So it was about 10 years ago, my brother-in-law started helping me edit videos. A few years after that, added a social media helper person, just dealing with like the posting and cutting down the videos, that kind of thing. And just in the last couple years, now I've got two more people editing, and then one kind of like wizard person. I feel like every team needs this multi-hat wizard person who's just like good at whatever you throw at them. Yeah, so
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're an enterprise, my friend. Yep.
yeah, never thought I'd be here, but you know.
But neither did we. And here we are. My fervent hope is that we can continue to be involved with you. We have a lot of educational opportunities. There's lots of things in NAM. There's lots of things that we do where people would love to hear from you and participate with you. So know that if that's of interest to you,
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
we're in. Also, it's inspiring to know that the business is in the hands of people who are both conscientious but also just killing it. Just fucking
I
killing it.
appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. And kudos to Baby Audio for literally since I've been doing this for like 14 years. I don't know that I've heard such a physical feral reaction from my team where they went, Baby Audio. There was like a kind of Tourette's thing going on. And then to meet you and you have the same kind of process. And then to look at product. Like it looks sexy, it works well, it's really
Yeah.
smart. It's yeah. Dave, didn't you have a printout of
Yeah, I
his
like
Yeah,
knobs.
we didn't show that since we started recording, eh? I gotta.
Lots of knobs, lots of knobs.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
And that's good looking stuff. That's sexy stuff.
That's the hardware version.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So and more stuff coming hopefully in the future.
Oh man, we're talking about the Transit is getting a big update. That's going to come first, but we're talking about the next plugin that we're doing together that I think will be on the same level, if not beyond, as far as what it will allow people to tap into quickly with their creativity and just like saving time. Yeah, I'm excited for it, but can't say.
I'm gonna use the plugin on Pensado's place. I don't know how, but I'll figure it
Please,
out.
yeah, yeah.
uh, Andrew, needless to say, you got two guys here who are huge fans, in Dave and I.
Yeah.
Huge,
Thanks so
huge.
much for
Huge
having me
fan.
on. Yeah, yeah, really great spending.
Yeah, and guys who are watching this episode know it's as much as who you are as a human as what it is that you can do creatively. And when those two things come together, success is right around the corner. This has been great, and we'll see you guys next week.